Just three ordinary people from the hills of eastern Kentucky. We don't have all the answers, but we do have all the questions. This is the Just Add Bourbon podcast with Jimmy Don, JD, and Don. Welcome, everybody, to the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr.
I'm Dawn Giesica.
And I'm J.D. Danner. What's cracking?
And it is another beautiful Sunday evening here in the hills of eastern Kentucky. It's already May, guys. Today is May 1st. That blows my mind that we've already made it to May. But I'm ready for the weather that May brings. How are you guys doing this week? Does everybody have a good week? JD, we'll start with you.
Man, I had a good week. Living this married life now, so everything's moving right along. Still kind of that honeymoon phase, I guess, but excited about what the future holds. But, worked a lot of hours this week, and I don't know, man. I feel like things are just going my way right now. I don't know what's going on with. I don't know if Mars is in retro or Venus. All that astronomy stuff. I don't know. No, I'm just glad. I'm good right now, man. I'm cool. I'm real cool. Yeah.
It's called JD. It's in the last 3, maybe 4 weeks that we've been on here. Before we went on, JD didn't say I need to make better life choices.
You know what?
Okay, that's true.
That is exactly right. Yeah, you have not said that not one time. You're sailing right in, aren't you, buddy? That's great.
It's good. Yeah.
So I got married pretty quick, right? Like me and her went out before, and we got back together. We said, let's go get married. But I take it very serious. I really do. Marriage is a big deal to me. I don't take that very lightly at all. So when I got married, I did take it serious, and I did settle right back into it because that's what you do when you're married, right?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
That's great.
You start, your wife starts bossing you around, and you no longer make any more decisions for yourself.
we've got to still raise you guys.
Yeah. Well, there's truth to that, Don. I wish I could argue that, but there's 100% truth to that.
No, I was the same mentality that I was when I was 12.
Hey, Mom, I see you.
Miss Dawn, how was your week?
Wow, I had a fantastic week. We've been up here all week long, and I've been on the ground in Martin County. Have you guys seen me moving around?
Oh yeah. Going to different businesses.
All the local posts. I meant to text you guys, but it gets so busy that I can't keep up with my own self half the time. So I went out to the Hillbilly Breakfast on Saturday morning that was hosted by the Kiwanis Club, and they had a really good turnout. And you know how this community is. I mean, just as soon as you arrive, they just start hugging on you and petting on you. And you go from table to table. And I probably ate, I don't know how many bags of fried potatoes that John Triplett fried up. And then they kept giving me gravy, either white gravy and chocolate gravy, apples. I mean, you name it. And I ate it. But
I can hear it right now. They say, "Girl, you're too skinny."
That's what they're doing. Two of them did. And they're like, if you keep eating like this, you're gonna look like me. That's what they'd say. They're so funny. The 2 of the older ones, and they were like, "We're gonna fatten you up, girl." It was so cute. But had a really good time out there, just mingling and talking to everybody. Looking forward to doing more with the Kiwanis Club and, trying to give back to the community as much as I can, because those people raised me, everybody in Eastern Kentucky. And let me tell you, I was easy to raise. Okay. Yeah. It was very easy, and I was calm and
when you wasn't being victimized, of course.
So I loved going out and hanging out with them. And then after that, we stopped at the Traders Vendor Market that's on the way.
I love those places. I love those places. I love that. I think it's a great thing for our community to have something like that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I went through and saw all the booths. That's right. I got Mom out of bed, made her go with me, because Mom was like, Mom doesn't do anything unless she has about 25 cups of coffee in her. She can't do anything until this whole routine in the morning is done. So I forced her to come out. She ran around with me and Todd. Went to the Kiwanis, and we went to Traders Vendor Mall, hung out with them. Really nice ladies. It's so good to support local businesses, but it's even better when you support local businesses that are female led. And that's nothing against you guys. It's much harder for us to, run things and get it off the ground. So that was fun. And then I went down to Sugar Mama's again.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then I hung out with Val and hung out with Vicky. And then took a bunch of food there. You know how it is. Again, eating again, like within an hour of the breakfast. And then after that, the highlight of the day, that was a highlight, but the big grand finale was I knew that Gary Cox was hosting the Martin County coal reunion. And I knew that their, I guess, president, Raymond Bradbury, was going to be there, and he is 94 years old now. And so he came in from North Carolina, and he was there, and they had a huge turnout. But to feel that atmosphere, because my dad was a coal miner, all of us were raised by coal.
Yeah.
Okay. So coal is one of those emotional topics for anybody that's raised back here. Okay. So anyway, I go up there and I go in the back door of the hangar. So I see the back end of the airplanes, and then I see the back sides of everybody. So I start snapping pictures, and then I just go through the crowd, and it's just a bunch of men and their wives who clearly have love for one another, and have bonded over generations. They've raised kids together. They've cried together, they've worried together. It was palpable, guys. I mean, I'm serious. And, I'd like to think I'm not a crazy emotional person. I am a girl, and I've got
PMS though.
I do PMS. That's when I get pissy. But when it comes to getting deep and stuff like that, I can get that way too. And I got that way yesterday because suddenly it's like I saw my dad, and I was wishing that he was there. And then it was like all of a sudden I could smell the soot, and I could just remember how our vehicles would be, guys.
Oh yeah.
How dirty. I mean, people don't know if you haven't lived in the coal region. They don't know, but that coal dust just goes everywhere. And I know it seems awful, but those are actually good memories now. I mean, there's a lot of bad that's went with coal. I get that, and we understand that, and we've all talked about that and discussed that. But if we remove that and we focus on just the human beings, then you're looking at a group of people who are like everybody else in this entire world. They really just wanted to fund and provide for their families and stay home. That's all they wanted to do.
Yeah. No, 100%. And let me jump in here, Jetty, just real quick, because I know there was a few years ago that our Beta Club, we went down to Louisville to, the state Beta convention, and they actually did it was a skit and won. But it was about coal. And I remember, it was an ode to our area. And people don't understand, because there is a lot of negativity around what coal does and the side impact and those things. But what people, and when they say those things, they don't understand that they were talking about my dad and your dad and JD himself, who worked in the mines. Yeah. And they took a lot of pride in what they did. They were proud of what they did. It was a hard job. They knew it was dangerous. When they went in, there was always a chance they didn't come back out. They knew that, but they did it anyway, because they were trying to provide a better life for their families. And I take a lot of pride in that today.
Right.
It's a different brotherhood, man. Honestly, when you get around coal miners, even the people I've never mind coal with, but we could talk about, hey, what kind of buggies did you run? What size was your miner? Stuff like that. But, my first night underground, my first day underground, the guy took me to the feeder and he goes, brother, stay away from this thing. It's a sudden death right here. You're going to die if you get in it. Yeah. And the fact is, it's the truth. It was that easy. Three bad steps and you're gone. That's it. You're tore all pieces. That feeder is going to chew you up like you never know you're there. And that top comes down all the time. At the top, it'll fall. You don't know what's falling. I got smacked in the head a couple times. Got busted over my head a couple times. That's just life of coal miners. So that bond between coal miners is a real thing. Yeah. You go underground, people's like, oh, I can never go underground. And we always play it off like, oh, it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad. But it's really serious. You get underground, it's a different world. And you always have to be aware of your surroundings, aware of what's going on around you. And it doesn't take much to get hurt and get killed. Yeah. And I think that's why that bond is so strong a lot of times.
I agree. I do think it is. It absolutely has to be a brotherhood. That's what I felt. It's a great way to describe it yesterday. And it also created a sisterhood, if you will, for the wives. Sure. Todd served in the military for almost 10 years, and I was a part of the group of women. You know, we have our own little like clubs, if you will, to support one another when they're off on deployment, because he was deployed several times. And you could see the wives working together as well, because, you know, men who do jobs like that, they have to have a support system at home. And those women worry, and they raise the kids, and they wonder if their husband's going to come home every day. You know, I mean, it was a really nice event. I would love for Gary or whoever to be able to organize it to where they even make it bigger and bring in other coal mines. You know, we had Peter Cave, we had Wolf Creek, we had all those. It was just something to see, guys. You would just really have to be there to feel it, and to see them all pat each other on the back. And some of the stories was just mind blowing.
Right. Oh yeah. There's always characters. There's plenty of stories.
Yeah, because
what was weird, you know, I went to my son's soccer game this week. It was Tuesday, I think. We went over to Johnson Central and he had a soccer game. We went out to eat Mexican afterwards. And I ran into a guy I worked with on the ground. And him and I, let's just say, we did not care about each other at all. We didn't care about each other. We weren't friends.
Yeah.
Like he did his thing. We worked on the same section, but when I seen him, I was like, man, I miss that guy. And I got up and I shook his hand, I hugged him, and he hugged me back. And you know, we asked about each other. And I said, you know, how's your kids? You know, how's those girls doing? All they're sophomores in college now. And, you know, he knew exactly. He came right back at me too. How's your kids doing? You know, because he knew we knew each other's lives because we shared that. You know, and we worked together so long. It's just, I don't know.
You know,
Mom has a comment on here. You know. Oh no, I'm sorry.
JD's brother is still in the mines. Worry about him daily. I bet you do, Wanda.
Yeah, so
it's a dangerous deal, man.
Let go.
Yeah.
You know, the thing.
Go ahead, Don. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about that. The thing is, growing up here, and I have a different perspective because I grew up here, graduated here, and then moved promptly to Phelps, Kentucky, and Pike County. So I went from one coal mining area to another. Right. And then after that, we bought our land in Tennessee. And then we started toying with Tennessee, and then we moved to Tennessee. So I have a different perspective. I hung out with coal miners in Kentucky and then coal miners in Tennessee because they dig down there too, right?
Sure.
But let me tell you, when you go and you move away from an area to where their industry is not primary coal, you tend to forget what it's all about. You know what I mean? It's completely different than living in West Knoxville, where our industry is a mix of healthcare and things of that nature. When you're talking about coal miners, you're talking about a family unit job. You're not talking about an individual job. I don't worry about if Todd's going to get killed every day. It's very military-esque or like law enforcement-esque because you don't know. And the thing is, they're all providing a service, right? The military, when they go out, they're providing a service to keep us secure. The same thing with law enforcement. The same thing with coal miners, truck drivers, so forth and so on. If we don't have those types of people, nothing is possible. Energy is energy. You have to have it for each and every single thing that we do. And coal is a big part of that. So these men generated a lot for us and for our families.
Jimmy, if you don't care, put Chris K's comment up. I'm going to read this because it says Chris K says, unfortunately, Margaret Thatcher sent South Yorkshire police bully boys to baton charge our miners during the strike. All right, you can drop it down now. Chris, one of the things, if you ever did history about our region, I'm sure that probably doesn't register on your radar at all, but the coal mines has a long and bloody history.
Yeah. Where the United Mine Workers of America was birthed.
Workers were bombed by the U.S. military. Mm-hmm. You know, you're talking about up in Man, West Virginia, and Delmarton, West Virginia. So, it's just so that bond between coal miners is definitely something different than anything else, any other bond that I've experienced for sure.
Isn't it a point though? Because Chris is like from halfway around the world, and coal miners, no matter where you are in the globe, you have this. It's like we had the same problems that we had we had to watch everybody overcome and try to overcome. With our area in particular, you know, we watched coal in its glory days. I mean, I grew up well back here. Yeah. I mean, everybody was saying that our area was poor, but none of us knew it. I mean, if it was, I didn't have a clue. I was on horses and I was playing with cousins and I had best friends. I didn't worry about food or cars or anything like that. It was all provided through coal. And now we've seen a lot of families be displaced. So because of, the downturn of coal. So when you go to these reunions and you hear the stories from the glory days, and then you get emotionally tied up into those stories, and then you turn over on this side, and then you just see their face change when they talk about the downslide. It's heart-wrenching.
Sure.
It was an emotional day. It was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And honestly, we should just keep pushing forward and be proud of our coal history.
When I seen your post, Don, what I was happy the most about your post was beautiful, by the way. But
thank you. JD never brags on me. Thank you, JD.
I always brag on you. Maybe not to your face, but I always brag on you.
I know you love me.
But the idea that you got to hear some stories about your dad and your uncles underground.
Yeah.
Because I know those were like, I know for me, and I know the people I worked with, like I was always two different people. I was dad at home. When I got to the coal mines, I was JD, right? Like and those guys got to see. I can't remember your dad's name right now; it escapes my mind. But he got to be his true, authentic self. And I'm sure he had some funny stories told about him yesterday. So I'm glad you got to experience that. That's really cool.
So my dad was named Earl.
Yeah.
And Big Earl. He stood probably 6'3". And, handlebar mustache, a big guy, big presence. So that's what was in the coal mines. Coal miners are men's men. I mean, that's what they are. Okay. And I know some people may not like hearing that, but now I don't know if they make men like that anymore, but they are tough men. And my brother has always made his livelihood on coal mine. I don't talk about my brother a lot because, I'm the baby of the family, and all my siblings, with the exception of Sandy, is like 3 years older than me. Everybody else is 10 or more. But my brother was electrocuted in the coal mines when I was in high school, and it was petrifying, and it scared my sister-in-law to death. I mean, he obviously has kids, my niece and my nephews, and my mother was tore all to pieces, and my dad was tore up. We lived this. Everybody watching this show tonight, we all lived this, and it was so scary. And people were like, well, when I graduated, Jimmy Don, I know that you probably had more, but when we graduated, tons of the boys that I graduated with, they went into instantaneous $80,000 and $90,000 jobs, and they got to stay home. Yep. Why wouldn't somebody consider that, especially if it's something they grew up around? So when people are like, "Why did the men do it back there?" It's our
way of life.
It's our normal. Yeah, that's right.
That's a perfect way to say it. It's our normal. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's our normal. There was nothing abnormal.
That's what the
about
expectation
it,
was, right?
Yeah.
Really. You either went to college, you went to military, you went to coal mines. That was it.
Yeah, and for me, you either got married or became a nurse or a teacher,
right.
And that was that's kind of what you did. So the reunion yesterday was something else. And
I thought Raymond Bradbury looked great.
It was just fantastic. Yeah, wasn't he? Did you see his coal mining hat?
Yes.
I almost teared up, and I thought, Lord, I need to walk away before I tear up. This man thinks I'm crazy.
I don't know if you can see it here, but look.
Do you have an authentic coal mining hat there?
Where's it
I want
at?
to see it.
Hold on. Can you see it there?
Yep.
Yes.
That was my dad's hat.
Oh, Jimmy, I don't want to bother you, but if you can you bring that down? Because I want my kids to see it. Because so I was trying to explain to Reagan. I got home yesterday and I called Reagan and Brooklyn. And it's really important that my daughters know about my culture, because my culture is their culture. Whether they're in Tennessee or not, it's their culture. And I want them to know.
This is a coal mining hat right here.
Yes.
So that's that light is called a wheat light for you guys watching at home.
It's called what, JD?
A wheat light.
Wheat light. Can you show that? Yeah. See, Ray, I want to show my kids this, but I remember playing with this because Dad would get so mad, but I thought that flashlight was so cool. And it was heavy. I mean, just the equipment that it took for these coal miners to strap on every day to do their jobs. But I was trying to explain this to my kids today, and I'm like, Reagan, I got to go to this reunion, and
put water in the light and all that stuff.
Yeah, and the coal mine hat, the flashlight, all of that stuff. I wish I'd have kept that stuff from my dad's. Well, let me tell you, if you ever, for the people watching, if you have lost a parent, you will know what I'm talking about. And for those of you who still have your parents, You need to keep up with everything that they've done. Ask them questions, write it down, because you don't want to find yourself in the position I am, to where now I'm hearing all these stories about what my dad did, and it just overwhelms me, with emotion. But it was a beautiful reunion. Great job to Gary Cox for organizing it.
I think it's awesome that you was out in the county, moving around, and making positive posts about what's things going on in our county. I think I can't speak highly enough of that, because there are a lot of positive things here in Martin County. Yeah,
Martin County is, we tend to, people think we talk negative. We don't talk negative about Martin County. That's something we would never, ever do. There is nothing wrong with talking about facts, and some facts are negative. I mean, that's just how it is. However, you have to talk about things and accept things in order to build it up. But this is really what Martin County is. What you've seen on Just That Bourbon podcast, all those posts, that's what Martin County is. It is community. It's locally owned businesses ran by people who are just trying to provide for their families. It's reminiscing with coal miners who helped build this entire country. Okay.
I got to tell a story.
Tell a story.
So my stepdad owned coal mines for years, right? And I was married to a lady whose stepdad, who basically raised her, was a coal miner. And they were out. If you get around coal miners, you're going to hear coal mine stories. That's just how it is. And so they were outside of my house one day talking, this, that, and the other, boat and top, running buggy, shuttle car, this, that, and the other. I grabbed a bag of flour and I came up there and I started throwing it on the side of the house. They said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm dusting ribs, boys. Let's go. We've run 300 foot of coal today." And so you'll always get that with these old coal miners. That's part of who they are.
Else. Yeah. I loved it. I love it too. I see Miss Preston. I love listening to stories about my dad and all that. And Tracy, thank you for saying that. But it was a beautiful day, and I just wanted to share that. We all wanted to share it. The boys didn't even know I was going. Like I said, JD worked all weekend, and Jimmy Don's always working, and I forget to text them what I'm doing. And then they see the post when we get on and they're like, "Dawn, you was all over the place." But it's important for all three of us to support the community. So anytime that something's going on, please drop us a message and let us know. And one of us will try to show up, and we'll try to share the post, and we'll support it and
not bash it.
Yeah. And not bash anything. That's not what we want to do. So.
Yeah. No, but this is probably I'm most proud to have this helmet. It's my dad's. It was my dad's. When he worked in the mines and all those stickers, it reminds me, I don't know if y'all remember this, like I like to collect stuff. You guys know that. Yeah. I have a sticker collection from all those coal mines back in the day.
Yeah.
And those things were like hot commodities back in the day.
Yeah. What about the buckles? Do you have any buckles?
I have a bunch of the buckles. Yeah.
You'll have to post pictures of those. I would love to see them. And knives. Remember, I love a case knife. I know I'm a girl, but I love case knives. I keep a bunch of case knives, and my dad used to get case knives that had remember the coal mines would get them and stamped like Peter Cave Coal or Wolf Creek or whatever on there. I mean, there was like I said, there was some downfalls to the coast side for sure. We know that, but there was a lot of upside too. So
yeah, it created an entire region of people. I mean, and a work ethic that a lot of other places don't match. I'm sorry, but our guys were brave. They worked hard and they cared about their families, and that is a coal miner.
And I was with a lot of creative, smart people underground.
Yes, sir. When you're 3 miles under the ground, you can't run to the hardware store to fix something. You got to figure it out.
That's right. You can't be a dummy, right? I mean, these are smart men, and it was beautiful weather. The airport, I could go on about the airport.
Yeah, so pretty there.
Yeah, how pretty it is, and it was just a good time hanging out and eating way too many, fried apple pies from Val.
That sounds like a terrible
awful day. I did want to say, JD, Don, they don't tell us to eat more. They tell me and JD, you always need to push away from the table.
I'm telling you, it's so funny. I went to Cloud 9.
You missed eating meals lately.
My gosh.
You're so funny. I heard that.
Y'all know I eat like a hippie, right? Now that's where me and the Democrat and the liberals, buddy, we're best friends. I eat like a complete hippie, but I did not do that this week. I ate at Cloud 9, and they had healthy choices. I just didn't choose them. Yeah. And I had Sundays. I mean, I did it all.
Did you get a Clouds and Sunshine?
I think that's what it was, the chocolate cake with the
No,
vanilla ice cream.
No, the Clouds and Sunshine is orange, like sherbet ice cream, vanilla ice cream, and then I forget what the cake's called that it's on, but it is hands down, it is so good. I have to get one every time I go.
I ate like a pig because it was about time for Aunt Flo to show up, so I just went around eating everything. It was great to be home and run around with Mom and see everybody and do a little bit of, just hanging out and a lot of eating.
I'm going to burn some incense for Todd tonight, by the way. Just
Yeah, right.
I ate everything. Y'all are so funny.
Well done, JD.
Yeah,
well
very,
done.
very funny, JD.
And I did want to.
I hear Todd in there laughing.
Yeah, and I did want to tell Todd. Most of the time, I don't wear pants. It was just a lucky day.
Yeah. Y'all about got a bonus. You about got a bonus when we had Judd on stand up.
That's right. That's right. So no. All right. Well, that was fun. And when I saw those posts, I looked forward to this conversation because I'm just very proud of. I think we all are. We're just very proud of where we come from. We're proud of the men and women that raised us and what they had to do, to make that happen so that we, the three of us, could have a better life. And there's a whole lot of people watching that know that. I do want to bring up just real quick. There was a Kentucky legend passed away this week. Naomi Judd, obviously one half of the dynamic duo of the Judds. They were from Ashland, Kentucky, Flatwoods area.
Yeah, I think Ashland, yeah.
Yeah. And so Naomi Judd passed away, and that was very sad. Like I said, Kentucky legend. Did you guys listen to very much Judd's music or country
Bro,
music?
I love the Judds. I love
the Judds.
I know. That's one of my guilty pleasures, I guess. But Grandpa told me about the good old days, and love can build a bridge. And
I love Winona's voice.
Mommy, he's crazy and all that stuff, man. I get down with the Judds, bro. I'm sorry.
Right,
crazy.
Naomi went through a lot, right? Didn't she go through a lot? I mean, I know she made a lot of mistakes and things like that. We all do, right? We're all human, but she went through a lot raising, I guess Winona and trying to get Winona up and off in Tennessee, which she did. And then Ashley had a successful film career and, she got hurt too. So they've had a rough year. I don't know if y'all know, but Ashley Judd took a very big injury out of the country last year and is still recovering from that. And now they've lost their mother, but we need to talk about why they lost their mother.
I don't know.
Yeah, it hasn't been completely released, but the girls did say they lost her due to mental illness. So once somebody posts that, you automatically think that, suicide was part of it. So that's another thing that we're going to have to try to do better on. And that's why we wanted to make a really positive impact on our community. You never know what people are going through. So instead of trying to always talk about negativity, and don't get me wrong, you have to talk about things to work through it. I get that. Sure. But you don't have to dwell on negativity constantly. And, we just need to be kind to each other because this is a successful woman with a lot of privilege and a lot of money and a lot of access. And mental illness took her.
So it's tough though, right? Because your expectations, Naomi was a huge star in the 1980s. People loved Naomi Judd. And then for, the last 30 years, she's been, I hate to say it now, she's dead. And I want to speak ill of the dead, but she's been kind of irrelevant, right? Like, and you almost think, is it an ego thing? Like, it's like, I'm not what I should be. I didn't do what I should, but she accomplished so much. Like it's
it's definitely a possibility.
But it's all about perspective, right? Like her perspective. And people with mental illness have a hard time having a healthy perspective, right?
Right.
And so I would just, this is all speculation, by the way. I don't have any idea.
Yeah.
But I might hate to hear that. To lose somebody's tough enough.
I bet you're right though on some things, Jade. On what you're talking about, I bet it is hard.
Yeah, to lose somebody to mental illness, especially a suicide, man, that would be. Man, I'm gonna tell you, my mom is not in great health. Honestly, to lose her to losers will be tough. To ever lose her will be tough. To lose her to suicide would destroy me. Like for real, it would be tough. That'd be hard to deal with.
And I was wondering if it was more her age because she is older now. Obviously, I mean the Judds. She was, Winona and them were in their 20s, 30s when they were the Judds. So she's older. I was just wondering if it was a dementia type thing where it was just starting to go and she couldn't deal with that.
It definitely could be. And I think, and that's what mental illness is, right? It's a complex disease made up. It's multifaceted. It's just if it gets them down at the right time, yeah, I know it's a bad way of saying it, but at the right time, which is really the wrong time, then it can take them. I do think that it's hard on celebrities to be up really, really high, and especially in the world that we live in right now. And I'm not saying that's what happened to Naomi. Naomi and the Judds were just getting ready to go on tour. They released tour dates. She herself was going to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, which is a huge honor. And she was going to do that, I think, today. So she, I don't know. Like we said, we don't have confirmation, but her girls did say that mental illness took her. So we have to assume that suicide was part of it, but or was it. It's just the world that we live in today. Have you guys kind of watched like Britney Spears and Madonna and them on Instagram?
Yes.
And you're talking.
So we need to talk about that, by the way.
I agree.
Because we talked about the conservatorship for Britney Spears, and I was the only one that said, "Hold on now, maybe there's something to this. Maybe she needs it."
Yeah.
Maybe she needs it.
I don't look so crazy now, do I?
No, and I get what you're saying. I still don't think, you have to have people who completely diagnose you with something that is so compound and so valid that it warrants a conservatorship, and they couldn't do that for this amount of time. But with that being said, what I was going at was, if you've watched like Madonna and Britney Spears and these people who used to be it. I mean, do you remember when Madonna put out that Vogue? I think it was called the Vogue thing. Yeah. Anyway, you remember that? She was huge. And if you see her now,
what I'm here for. 100%.
It's like, if you see her now, they have done so much to change their look to slow down the aging process that she's almost unrecognizable.
Trying to stay relevant.
To me, I agree, JD, and I think that's got some mental stuff with it too.
That's absolutely a mental disease, though, right? And so here's the thing that we need to take back, or step back. Even with the Britney Spears, there is no doubt in my mind that Britney has some mental illnesses.
For sure.
But we just don't have, we don't know what that name of that is right now, right? We've not got there yet. 30 years ago, we didn't know what ADHD was, but we're there now. And so I feel like Britney's probably got something, and, definitely suffering with some mental illness, but we don't, just because we can't put a label on it. Like, I don't know.
But with them though, she was probably 16 years old when she became a star.
Yeah.
How much pressure is that, right?
That's a lot of pressure.
The star.
Yeah.
The star. She was it. Every boy, loved her. All this
every
adoration.
Girl did too, yeah.
Every girl wanted to be her. Every guy wanted to be with her. It was, and then you go through that, and then she's essentially like when I saw it, I was like, it's like somebody locked her up for a period of time and she got out. Now she's just free,
Now she's just
and acting crazy. So I mean, I don't know. You don't know. Like with these child stars, I just always wonder, is it really a good thing? Because
I agree with that totally, Jimmy Don, because Reagan took her first test shoot at the age of 14. And when you go into fashion, it's specifically with modeling, you have different looks. They class you in different looks. You'll have the girl next door look. You'll have the androgynous look, whatever, right? Reagan's look was more sensual, and she was only 14. And they were ready to sign her. And I'm like, nope, we're going to wait. And Reagan wasn't ready for that anyway. We didn't even really discuss it because she already knew we're going to test it. We'll see what class you fall into. And lo and behold, she fell into the class, like the Victoria's Secret kind of class. Y'all seen her pictures. She's 19 now. Right. She's able to do whatever she wants to do, right? But I couldn't imagine her doing that at 14 and 15. And Chris is right. Britney started on the Mickey Mouse Club. Do you guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a
but
child.
There's nothing that prepares you for that kind of start that she hit at 16, 17.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
especially because you're not chemically, you're not there.
Well, her brain has a fully formed, right? Her frontal lobe, her frontal lobe is still developing.
Yeah. And the same with, circling back around to Miss Naomi Judd, who, God rest her soul. They were so big and then they went down. And then you never come back up. Like Taylor Swift, she's never going to come back to what she was. Michael Jackson never did. It's like once you hit that peak, you never really hit it again. Garth Brooks, remember when he hit that peak and then he retired and then he shows up again? He's never peaked like he did again because it's such a competitive field. There's all kinds of talent.
They replaced her yesterday. You don't even know it.
Yeah, that's right. But I think it is hard on them. I don't know. I know that they talk about, or Naomi did, she talked about God, if I remember correctly, because to me, going on the evangelical side, and I'm not saying that people who take their lives are, without God. I'm just saying that's the only way that I know how to make it through life, and I lead a good life. But that's just me. JD does it different with his family, and Jimmy Don does it probably about like me with family and God and everything else. Everybody has their thing that they need to do, and we need to find out how to support people who don't have a ton of, support. That's just, I don't know how to word it. You come to this show, you don't come here for fancy. You come here for, you come here for just straight up, regular people talking.
Yeah, that's who you are, And you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, like,
hey, baby.
With social, like, I'm going back to the social media thing because
For sure.
I feel like mental illness is so pronounced now. And it's almost hard to tell what's real and what's not, right? Like I see people on my Facebook, like, man, should I reach out to that person? Like, I really don't. I've sent messages to complete strangers. They'll make a post on Facebook, like, oh, I'm really struggling with this, and I'm like, look, don't do anything crazy, because if you need somebody to talk to, shit, I don't even know you, but I'll talk to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
I've seen that too, JD.
So mental illness is, well, I guess that's a good thing about social media, though, right? But it also is, and we talked about before, Jimmy, on how people can't escape the judgment.
Can't get away from it.
Can't get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you think about when you was in school, Don, or Jimmy Don, and myself as well, we'd go to school and we'd get picked on or whatever. We come home, except for Don. Don was never victimized.
I'm always a victim.
But when you come home, you escape that, right? Like, you was away, you got your break, you go home for the weekend, and you was away from them people or whatever. But now, there is no break.
Yeah,
Those
there's no
people
break.
Chase you down, and they're bullying you 24/7, 365.
Yeah. And anyway, with cameras. And with cameras.
So it's especially pronounced with superstars, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you think of Britney Spears or Naomi Judd, who lived in front of the spotlight, in front of the camera. Who knows what Naomi was thinking? I'm sure that she struggled with a lot of things. You take someone like Britney Spears, who was the superstar of all superstars, and
I know JD stopped to read that comment.
I know.
Chris gets us tickled when he shows that, and so does Jason. I had to completely bite my tongue.
No, I definitely laughed at Jason's thing.
Yeah,
bullying can't be a good thing, bro. If you're fat like I am, and you bully me into losing weight, then you save my life. It can be a good thing.
But I've seen posts like that too, JD, and I don't know what to do with it. Does it make you guys a little uncomfortable? Though?
Yes, of course it does.
I'm being completely
I guess that's
honest.
what mental illness does, though, right?
Yeah,
because
I'm like, I don't know what to do about that. Like,
yeah.
Should I talk to him? Because let's be honest, if you talk to him, then you might be talking all night. And I mean, I'm not a therapist.
You're going to inconvenience me for 3 hours, right?
Can I just send you over here to somebody who knows how to do this? I just want to make sure you're good. I'm an organizer. That's what I want to do. But I want to pray for you, tell you you're okay, tell you I love you, but I can't fix you. Type of thing. I'll just stick you with somebody who can. But I think it's a sad loss to, and to the girls. I hope that I know they have a strained relationship sometimes because they're two different people.
Right.
I hope that they're able to, recover from this, and because you never fully recover from the loss of a parent. And Naomi was the parent.
Yeah.
Todd.
So
that's funny.
Shut up, Todd. I've got to get my hair done, y'all. I'm telling you.
No.
That'd be the gift card.
What we were talking
No.
No.
And it's Aveda, first off. He makes fun of me because my salon is expensive, but I'm expensive.
You know this, Todd. You signed up for this rodeo.
Yeah, you signed up, brother.
Yeah. You picked you picked your price range. You pick your price range with women. That's what you do.
Also, I'm married to the same kind of woman, so it's this company. And I completely get it. Well, JD was talking about social media, though, and the thing that dominated the headlines this week, guys, was Elon Musk and Twitter, right?
Oh,
yeah.
And I saw a lot of different points of view, and it was funny, JD. I want to start with you on this because this is what I thought of when I saw it, okay? So it was basically some left-wing shows or whatever was talking about. They were worried about it because they were worried that they were going to try to shut down one side of the debate. And we were all like, duh, because we've talked about that on here where the conservatives feel like they were shut down somewhat on Twitter by
Right.
being banned or, whatever with the shadow
Deplatformed,
banned with
sure.
the algorithm, things like that. And so now your people on the other side are worried about that with Musk. And I was just wondering, like, I immediately thought of JD and a conversation we had on here, just talking about that. And we were like, no, I think you were like, no, I don't really think that's true. If you're saying outrageous things, then you should be off. And I think we agree on that.
Yeah.
But, you had conservative shows on the other side saying that before. Now that it's going the other way, and there's no idea that it's going, really going to go the other way. But now they're saying the same thing on the other side. And I thought, how funny, it just everybody talking out both sides of their mouth. But like, what do you think about that?
So I was standing by what I said earlier. I don't think there's a difference between having an opinion and voicing that opinion. And, I've never got in trouble on Facebook for voicing my opinion. And I don't know anybody that has who's kept it civil and been civil. There's a big difference between voicing your opinion and inciting violence and being dangerous. So that's I think though I see that continuing. I think Musk is being very cryptic in his wording when he talks to people and he's getting all these people on his side. I don't expect him to change something that's proved to be so successful. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Twitter has been, Facebook's big around here, but Twitter leads the conversation when it comes to politics. I mean, it's just a fact. I mean, it just does. And so it'd be like me going in and we're taking over a Super Bowl winning football team and then firing everybody. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Especially when there's platforms out there like 4chan and Miles and Chain Block and all this other stuff where you can go on there and say the most crazy things you want to and not be regulated.
Right.
But that has not been a formula for success.
Right.
So I don't expect Elon's going to change much. He'll change some algorithms. He'll get rid of the robots, and which I think are all good moves.
I think that's good. Verifying people. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about the whole verification process, Don. Like where you got to put your ID,
your name and stuff. Yeah.
You
have to authenticate it.
Seconds, I know.
Right. Because I told you guys that I had to go through that with my Facebook. Do you remember me texting you guys that? So Facebook sends me this thing and it says that I have 2 weeks because I didn't know what was going on. I had 2 weeks to authenticate because it said that my account was at an account that, an influencer account. And I'm like, what the hell? This got me Jimmy Don JD's fault. But it was going to kick me off. So I had to send like my driver's license in and all this stuff. And, I didn't think anything of it because there's nothing for me to hide. And Todd watches the identity stuff. But that did make me nervous. When it comes to Twitter, I have a Twitter account. I keep it anonymous because I get on there and I politic a lot. But I'm never mean under even an anonymous account because I'm not mean. I don't know how these people are going to handle things if I attack. But I have seen on Twitter people dox people who they don't agree with and people who just full on go in and they make threats and call them uneducated and things like that. And I don't argue that way because I think that proves that you're not intelligent when you have to argue in a mean way. I think that Elon doing the authentication and verification and stuff like that, me personally, I'll just open it up and I'll put my name out there and I'll just stand by my sayings and all my comments. I think that Twitter got themselves into this because they censored too much. I posted from the Vox. The Vox is center left, way left. This is a left-leaning organization, and they did a poll of how many employees of all of the big tech groups made donations to Democrats versus Republicans. It was off the charts leaning blue. So that's why you see people freaking out when Republicans posted stuff. They suppressed Hunter Biden's laptop story. They completely killed it. They killed any talk of me and you or JD saying anything about the possibility of COVID being lab made. You get kicked off, you get censored. And now they're admitting that is a possibility. So Twitter did that to themselves. Do they have a right to censor what they want to because they're a private company? Sure, they do. But in this country, it's capitalist. You also have to beware that there is a billionaire out there that can buy you and then switch your game on you. And now here we are. So It'll be interesting seeing what Elon does with it.
What do you think he will do? What do you think he will do?
I personally don't think that he's going to go. I wouldn't go crazy with it. I would open things back up. I would let Donald Trump have his Twitter back. And I've made that stand, and I'll die on that hill. But if you can let terrorists who we know have killed Americans have their Twitter accounts, then Donald Trump can have his back. If you can let BLM, who burned down city after city, have Twitter accounts, and you can let Donald Trump have his back, I would let him have it back. I would definitely let people know that if you go too far, I'm going to give you a warning, because I'm with you guys. I don't think you can just sit up there and just incite violence or say, I'm going to, murder, go shoot up a school or something. We need to move up, and we need to move on those.
Well, 6 million Jews wasn't enough.
That's right. Things of that nature. So I think he is doing what you said, JD. I think that he's probably just kind of stirring that pot a little bit.
He's stirring it.
It
makes stock prices go up. Maybe he just bought the company.
It makes stock go up. And I'll be honest, I've seen people say now that they're going to get on Twitter. I've also seen my left-leaning friends saying they're going to get off. You guys know me. Both of the parties suck. Y'all need to hear me. They suck. They don't care about us. I don't know what else you need to do. I don't know what kind of evidence you need. You just need to pick one that's closest to you and just go down, toe that line. That's how I do it. But let me tell you, don't get on that hoe. Because my team is jumping from Twitter, I'm going to jump from Twitter. Don't do that, because then you stay in your echo box and you become a blazing idiot. You need people like JD if you're a Republican. JD needs people like me and Jamie Don, if you're a liberal.
So I heard people talk today about this, actually. Mm-hmm. And this was in the Vox article that you're referring to, I believe. Deplatforming people only lets people wear that victim card around. That's what it does. It doesn't make their ideals better or worse. It lets them now play the victim.
Yeah. The
best way to address somebody with a bad opinion is to let them shout it from the mountains. And then you have the conversation with them and expose that opinion with facts.
Yeah.
And so I'm all about, letting free speech come in. But I do feel like that, and I'll disagree with Don on this part. I think Trump stepped over that line big time, especially as closer to January 6th came.
Did you think that
he deserved to lose his Twitter? Yeah,
for a time, sure.
Yeah,
did you also think that Vice President Harris stepped over the line when she said, "Go burn the cities down, and we will bail you out"? Because
then absolutely yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
So I just want to be fair on that, because that's how I am. I want to make sure that everybody gets the same rules, and I will fight for that constantly. And I do think that
that's
people.
Fair. I'm not. Don, you know me well enough.
No, yeah, I know. I know. You're totally. You're totally with me on that. Like I said, this podcast has changed a lot of how we communicate with each other. Me and JD used to just fight it out, but now we talk things through. If everybody would do that, I think that the country would move forward a lot. The problem with Elon Musk buying Twitter has scared the extreme fringe left so much that now we have a legitimate disinformation board that has been constructed by the Biden administration, and it is falling under the Department of Homeland Security. If that does not rub you the wrong way, then I don't know what the communism will.
No, I think it's a scary, very slippery slope to go down.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all. I'm George Orwell, 1984. Animal Farm is always one that scared me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With the nepotism and the seeking you out, and if you're speaking against the pigs or whatever. So this is more Animal Farm. I don't like this at all. I'm really.
It's really freaky.
But somebody has to handle it, though, right? Because the social media platforms have seemed ill-equipped, right, so far.
Yeah, I do. And I'm going to jump in, and I'm sorry to jump in. Why is it that we think that the government and tech companies need to handle what we say? As long as we're not saying anything that is completely threatening a life, why is it that we think that tech companies should even tell us how to think? Are we suppressing free thought completely now? I mean, what's the big deal if you have a disagreement with somebody? Why if me and JD start fighting on any topic, why would I need to be censored because I'm a Republican, or why would he need to be censored because he's a Democrat? Now, let me tell you, that ain't going to happen to you, but it would happen to me on Facebook and Twitter.
I just don't think that's reality, though. I don't think that.
But it has been.
I really don't think that people with different opinions have got shut down. I think people who've been dangerous have been.
JD, universities and colleges won't let conservatives come in.
Yeah, baby, that's on social media, though.
Right now, but that is people who absolutely are on social media and participating in social media. Social media is all of us now because we're all on. We all have one of these.
I think Todd makes a good point. Put Todd's comment there.
I was getting ready to. Oh, sorry.
Because you make a good point, Todd.
That's right.
How do you build this panel, right?
It's crazy.
Who has?
And who's going to trust them?
Nobody.
We just proved for the last 2 years you cannot trust the government to tell you the truth about anything whatsoever, even a virus. So now we're supposed to trust them to not monitor what we are posting. My gosh, guys, we just went through Edward Snowden. Anybody remember him?
Yeah,
remember President Obama said, absolutely not. We are not tracking United States citizens' phone calls. It is not happening.
It's a lie.
And it was a total lie.
Of course.
So you can't tell me, because we have a fringe left. We don't have
So here's what's weird about that to me is like, how many trials do we got to see? I've watched 48 Hours all the time, and they're like, oh, his cell phone showed he was over here at the park and killed this lady at 11:45 p.m. Like, you're definitely tracking that dude.
They're tracking everything.
100%.
Yeah. So now they're going to track our post. It's just and I'm sure they already have. I'm sure the tech companies have already been turning stuff in and we don't even know about it. But now they're so brazen. This administration is so brazen that it is completely on the news. Mainstream media, who we also don't trust, but however, it is there. The Department of Homeland Security Secretary, what was his name, Jimmy Don? I just told you, Alejandro Mayorkas, something like that.
Or Matura or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he is saying, "Oh, don't worry, we're just gonna look at things a little bit." Oh, okay, Mr. Big Gov. So it's a scary time.
And like
so
either
here's
side
what's crazy
proven,
though. Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I said like either side has proven that they can be trusted. Like I mean, any one of them, they could not help themselves. If it was the Republicans, if it was Trump, he could not help himself. But to go after the left, people who are left leaning, same as Biden being president, could not help himself. Neither side can be trusted. Don's right. Neither side can trust them.
Of course not, because you see the Republicans, what they're doing in Florida. DeSantis is wanting to get rid of math books because they have critical race theory. How much critical race theory can be in the math book?
Yeah.
I mean, really,
I have no clue. No clue. But why are we even talking about critical race theory in schools? I mean, honestly,
but nobody was, though. That's what I'm saying.
But they are.
Talking about
if that's true and they haven't been in schools, then why are we having parents go to school boards and throw all these fits? Where there is smoke, there's fire.
Because people are easily influenced by their leaders. That's why.
They're Trumps.
People will go to the Capitol in the inside, and try to take over because their leader said to.
Right, just like they burn down cities, and just like they want to teach, and just like they want to talk to 5-year-olds about their
because somebody of importance said to. That's exactly the point. So that we're getting rid of, we're trying to burn books. I'm going to tell you, historically, that's not the right side to be on. When you want to burn books and shut down books, that's not the right side to be on. And what you'll get into with this thing in Florida, they only approved one set of math books to be used in the state of Florida. You believe that? One company. You know who owned that company in Florida?
I have no idea. I haven't read
it. It's the governor from Virginia, Republican governor from Virginia, owned the publishing company that published the books that they approved in Florida.
Right.
If that doesn't seem like good old boy politics.
Oh, for sure.
Then I don't know what does.
For sure. And that's the problem. That's what you're seeing on both sides constantly.
Right.
This stuff going crazy, and these big retaliations, these big shots fired from the left. Now the right's going to shoot back, and we're all stuck in the middle.
Right.
Honestly, I don't want to talk about CRT. It shouldn't even be in the conversation. We shouldn't have CRT in the schools, period. That's for postgraduate.
We should talk about American history. We should talk about American history. Those things happen. So.
We are, but CRT and American history are two different things. There's no reason to sit black children down and say you're a victim, and white children, you're the one that started all this. That's insanity. That's the gist of it. And there's no reason to sit down in kindergarten and talk to kids about your sex life. We should not even be having these conversations. We should be having conversations about why healthcare is expensive, why gas is expensive, groceries.
But 5-year-olds, if I'm gay and I'm out with my husband on the weekend and have a picnic, I should be able to say that to my 5-year-old student.
No, I don't go. I don't go in. I don't go in and talk about me and Todd making out.
If it's in the class, if I said me and my husband, if you
can say Todd, picnic, but not talking about sex. But don't go in and
no. If you and Todd went up for a picnic this weekend, you said, "Okay, class, what did everybody do?" Me and my husband went up for a class that went out for a picnic. That'd be fine, right? I feel the same thing. If there was a gay teacher and he went out with his husband for the weekend, he said, "Oh, me and my husband went out for the weekend." For a picnic,
we're not talking about picnics. We're talking about picnics when
but that's what I'm saying.
When sex is part of it. We're talking about genders.
Right. We're talking about the thread, the fiber of who you are, though. So these teachers aren't allowed to say those things. So let's be clear.
But I'll be honest. I went through school and I constantly stay in school. I was thinking about taking a class next semester on. It's a random sociology class because I was interested in some nonsense some liberal tweeted about. But anyway, I want to learn before I argue anything. I've been in school my whole life. I will always remain probably getting educated on some level my whole life. My teachers have never came in and really talked about their personal life.
Right.
Why don't you just come in and teach and go home? When Todd goes in and works, he goes in, he puts you to sleep. He ain't putting you to sleep going blah, 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 blah.
Great point. I agree with
you. Just go home.
So I'm going to tell you what I did a couple years ago, Don. I was, of course, you know where I live. I live right here in Martin County. I'm surrounded by Republicans everywhere.
Yeah.
And I asked him, because I thought this was an interesting question. I just heard on the podcast. So I went to the coal mines and I said, okay, guys, if the best math teacher in the world was a Muslim, would you want that teacher to be your teacher, your kid's teacher?
My kids are taught by Muslims.
Yeah, I would.
But you know what?
I don't care. Yeah.
But what do you think most people said?
Oh, I'm sure they've said no.
They said absolutely not, because they understand that that's who they are. That their religion is who they are. Yeah. Just like a person's sexuality is who they are. Of course, we've all been around gay people we didn't know were gay, right? But I'm going to say 85% of the time we knew they were gay, right? I mean, maybe not. So there's a lot. It's not as black and white, is what I'm saying. I guess is that there's a lot of gray area there. These people.
No,
need to be able to talk freely about their lives too. If they're going to,
they are there to teach.
Of course,
they're there to teach. So if teachers want to go in and talk about their personal lives to my student, now I've moved my daughter from public school to private school, and I did it during the pandemic, and I did it partly because of all of this politics getting into schools. I'm done with it. I want the Muslims that are perfect at math or whoever. I don't care if they're Indian, Chinese, whatever. Right. I'm sending my daughter to be taught by the best. And then I'm also sending my daughter as a well-respectful little girl who is going to be respectful of her teachers, and she's going to teach. She's going to learn. She's going to be compliant. Right.
That's right.
And then when it comes to talking about, other religions and other sexual lifestyles or whatever, my kids are already open-minded to those things, because I like to watch Lifetime and I love Lifetime doesn't mean that everybody loves Lifetime. And I don't want to teach my kids to where everybody needs to be in this narrow box or this narrow vision, and that's how everybody should do, because whether they like it or not. And JD, you know this, I'm sorry, and I'll shut up. Remember what Ro Khanna said when Ro Khanna was on here?
Oh, I don't know.
And he said in the next 10 to 20 years, the immigrants that we have now, I think, make up around 20% of our population. We're looking at 30 to 40% if we continue on the way we are in the next 20 to 25 years, I think is what he said. And that got me, because I thought, that's a huge melting pot. We're already a melting pot. We're going to become even bigger, just like with this podcast. Yeah, we need to learn now. And that's why me and JD stopped fighting, because we've figured out now He's not going to change me, and I'm not going to change him. And we're not going to change our Muslim neighbors or our Hindu neighbors. We don't need to try to change people. We need to just learn to live with people and quit letting our leaders, whether they're Republican or Democrat, try to always keep us stirred up.
Yeah. So here's Don, I probably won't go to church till Christmas time. That don't mean I love you any less than anybody you know.
Right. That's right.
I mean, it just doesn't. Same thing for you, Jimmy Don. I mean, and I'm going to be just as good to you as anybody you know is going to be.
And our English neighbors.
I
love you, Chris.
Yeah. If Houston's a neighbor, then yeah.
I mean, and it doesn't mean that we're going to sit up here and agree on everything. I'll still argue.
That would be boring. Who would want to do that? I wouldn't even talk to y'all.
That's right. I'm going to still fight and quarrel and fight and quarrel. That's what I do. It's what I like to do. And I'm going to vote for the way that I believe, and I'm going to tell people the way that I believe, and then let them decide.
What is any party going to do when it comes to election time 2024?
I know what the Democrats are going to do. They're going to take it right in the rear, because
this
is getting crazy.
I don't know if Republicans got anybody run either.
Oh, 2024.
I don't know if the Republicans got anybody worse for it.
2024, if they run DeSantis, Biden's done.
He's a train wreck.
Biden's done.
Do you think Biden's going to run again?
Biden's not going to run again.
I don't think he is.
I think
I don't think so.
I don't like how they're doing Biden.
I mean, Harris is not going to run. Harris can't win. I don't know what to do.
Harris cannot win.
Yeah, I don't think DeSantis is going to be a good candidate either. I should be honest with you. Burning books down in Florida, I don't think that's a good look.
You know that Kana is in presidential talks for 2028, possibly 2024. If he was to run, he's going to make rural America listen, because I'm a Republican. Don't worry, everybody. I still work on Republican campaigns. But let me tell you, if Democrats figure out how to talk to rural people and they start hitting the moderate language, they'll win. If Republicans figure out how to talk to regular people and start hitting moderate language, they'll win. It's a fight for the middle. The right's already going to vote right, and the left's going to vote right.
Why?
Or left. Sorry.
Is nobody legalizing weed? That's what I want to know. Because they would win hands down, in my opinion.
Because
that's one issue everybody can unite under and vote for that person.
Because Big Farm is scared to death of marijuana. They're scared to death of a natural product.
Yeah, you'd think that the marijuana industry would pay off just as good as the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
There was an article the other day, and now they're trying to talk about the bad stuff that happens with weed. Like if you smoke it, I guess you get,
schizophrenia.
That and something goes on with your lungs. Well, of course, we kind of know that smoking is bad for our lungs nowadays. But okay. Anyway, the reason why you're starting to see all that be drummed up is because how many states have legalized weed now? It's like 30 something, I think. I mean, there's only a few.
They're all making a killing on it too.
And they're all making a killing. So now you're starting to see it's a slow fade on everything, right?
Of course, we're going to be 50 yet. Well, no, we may be 49.
We'll be 49. We will be the last to do it.
And when the government and when Big Farm and all these lobbyists, when they want to crush something, they don't just come out and start crushing it. They slowly trickle into your algorithm, little things that's wrong with marijuana, little things wrong with it, and that little thing's wrong with it. And then before you know it, they've got you all worked up, and you don't even look at the problems with alcohol or opioids or obesity.
We can't buy a beer in the INS still yet. It's 2022.
I know.
It's so crazy.
Y'all, you are going to get me started on that.
No, do not get Don fired
up. Don't get me fired on that.
We're already at an hour.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Jimmy's like, no. I got to go campaign.
Yeah, I got to go campaign. No, slow down.
But talking about schools, was you going to bring up the schools, or are we going to wait?
No, I do want to talk about the student loan forgiveness.
Oh, yeah.
Because I saw some posts, and I can't remember which one of you made the post. I think maybe Don made one, and then JD made another, and that brought up the point of, do you know who's actually posting? Can you tell the difference? And 100% you can tell the difference. There's never been a question in my mind. So, but if this is something that I struggle with, okay, with the student loan forgiveness part, because you'll have the one side where people will say, well, I had to pay off all my student loan debts, and then I had to pay off my kids' student loan debts. Why should somebody else get their student loan debts paid for and not have to go through what I did? Okay, fair point, fine. But it's also like a new life-saving drug coming available.
Cancer, right.
And, well, my parent died from that, and I struggled through it. nobody else should be able to. And it does, and that's the part I struggle with, like legit. And I don't know that you can force. We're already in trillions of dollars of debt. I don't know how you forgive that. I don't know how you do it. I think we've proven with the inflation that force feeding a capitalistic market with money, that's Econ 101. You're going to create inflation.
We're going to get a recession.
And you're going to hit a recession here at some point too. So, but I do struggle with that because because I do mortgage loans, right? So I see people who are loaded down with student loan debt, loaded down with it, and can't and don't have the jobs. Number one, that's a conversation I have with my kids is if you're going to go to college and you have to get student loan debt, you have to pick something where there's a return on the investment. You can't, necessarily do a job, but some of the most important jobs out there only pay $40,000 a year, and you're going to be $200,000 in debt. And it's like there's this. I got this mental tug of war going on. Like, what's the right thing to do?
Do you guys think, though? And I guess this is for you, JD. Do you think that Biden's kind of being bullied on this?
I don't know. I can't recall Biden during his campaign where his stance was, so I can't say that. I don't know
because
I do know that Elizabeth Warren and Andrew Yang and all these people they're really pushing to get student loan canceled.
I think
Roe is going to get student debt.
Oh, I fought with that camp too.
Yeah.
It is, again, it's a multifaceted, complex problem, but it's really not. Ultimately, a loan is a volunteer. You chose to do it. You took it out loan. You've got multiple problems. In the state of Tennessee, you get free 2 years of community college. Do you know how many people take it up? Around 30%. Do you want to know why? Because everybody's too cool. Okay, all the kids are way too cool. They're way too cool to go to community college. Okay, I had two graduate semi-graduate in 2020 because the world shut down, but we were thankfully in the state of Tennessee to where we did get an outdoor graduation. I had one going to University of Tennessee, and I had one going to University of North Florida. The one who went to UNF, it was go to UNF or die, because I have to be popular. I have to look like I'm doing something cool. I cannot stay here. I don't care if it's going to be online. I'm gone. And he went, and he paid out of state tuition. And then I had Reagan. Now Reagan is a different comparison because she makes a lot of money at her job. Okay, so it's not important for her to look popular because she already looks it. So I will give you that. When she signed up for UT was promising us that it was going to be in-person classes, and then it turned out not to be. So the first thing I said was, I'm not paying for that. And she said, okay. It was that simple. And then she flipped, and now she's in nursing, and she's finishing up her clinicals this semester for free. There's no loan involved in it. Then we have Max. Max is graduating this year. He is up and decided he's going to enlist. He gets $85,000 in his GI Bill. Boom. You want free school? There is ways to get free school. First off, don't pick your fancy school. You got to leave Harvards and Vanderbilts in your state schools. Take your community college. Jason Blair brought up an excellent point. Why in the hell is it such a money racket to where you have to have an English class times 3 when you are going to be, I don't know, a doctor? Honestly, doctors don't need to be writing essays about grammar. We need you to know how to be a doctor. A medical doctor. There's all different things. The government shouldn't have been in the loan system either, boys. You shouldn't have student loans at 7%. That's insane. They could take the interest rate down and make it to where you're basically paying on the principal. But what do? They don't do nothing. And now they're going to come out and do something, and it's a ploy for votes. They have never one time told farming boys, not everybody goes to college. Do you guys know the percentage of how many people in this country have a bachelor's degree?
It's low.
Google it. So what you're saying is that we need to forgive a loan that you chose at a school that you chose to go to. Oh, and by the way, most of the loans that we're arguing are post-grad loans. They're not, hey, it's the first 2 years, or hey, it's their undergrad. It's post-grad.
So JD, fire back at that.
So 40% of the loans that are out there are people who don't even have a bachelor's degree. So I have a hard time. I went to look at that stat. But it doesn't matter if it's fair and all this other stuff. I don't care about that. What I want to know if it's good for America. Does that mean these people can now invest in homes and cars and trucks, and they can go out and buy things and jumpstart and keep this economy boosting and going? If they do forgive these student loans, then if I can spend $5 here and make $15 later on, then I'm all for that. I don't care if you paid your student loan off and you had to struggle and your mom sewed soap, she could do it. I don't care. What I want to know is if it's the right thing to do for our economy, and what it looks like the numbers I'm seeing, it is. Every time a study comes out, it is.
Right.
And so
it's the absolute worst thing he could do right now.
So the question of fairness and about this guy paid for a loan and it was a voluntary loan. Don't care. I want to know if it's going to do the right thing, get the economy moving the right way. It's going to help people purchase homes, and if you're not getting a home loan because you're on a student loan and you can get that paid off, and we can pay it off as a country, and it may make a little dent in our debt, and who cares? I mean,
here's where I fire back. Let me say this, JD, and then respond to this. So
okay.
I feel what you're saying. Okay, like the person in me or the emotional side of me says that's a fair argument, but I also. Look, you're going to give these people extra money. The thing is they're going to get hit on the opposite side because it is 100% going to increase the cost of everything because now there's more money in the economy.
But that's a totally different problem we have because we don't have caps on corporations, and corporations can charge whatever they want to for loans and money. Or it's like when we give out these welfare programs and we give out these bonus or these what do we give out for the infrastructure bill? And we give all the PPE money, the stimulus money. But that's we can't control corporations, and that's where we got a real problem too.
Actually,
regulations is not a great thing either, right? Because regulation kills creativity in the industry.
If we have the power,
find this balance.
If Biden has the power with the stroke of a pen to wipe it out, he has the power with the stroke of a pen to lower the rates to where this is basically principal payments. There's no reason for people to be paying more than 2% on a student loan. Honestly, there's not. They got into this and it did get predatory when your interest rates go up and up and up and up. You have to think about not just the economy, it's going to kill the economy. We're already inflated. I mean, and we've got economists sounding the alarm left and right. That's why I feel like President Biden, I do really feel like President Biden is doing his best to try to hold it off. If he wanted to wipe out those loans, he would have already done it. The reason why Warren and them are pushing him is because midterms are 6 months away and it's going to be a bloodbath. But we've got to think about not just the 30%. We've got to think about us as a whole. You chose these loans. I got my school paid at work at 18 years old. My son is enlisting at 19 years old. My daughter's at community college. And at 20 years old, my oldest boy had just now took out his first student loan because
he go $100,000 in debt at 18, but you can't have a beer? That don't seem fair.
Well,
I know that's the reality, but it doesn't seem fair, right?
Nobody forced them though, JD. See, that's something that I don't like that. I don't like how we are taking this victimhood that my son is $100,000 in debt. Your son sat down. We talked to Holden until we were blue in the face. And we said, if you stay here, we've got you 4 years covered in state schools. If you go down there, you're going to take a $6,000 tuition. It's going to jump to $27,000. You're going to be done in 2 years. If you're soccer, because soccer doesn't pay but like $4,000 a year, you're going to be done. He is hell bent, not because the college is any better than the state schools in Tennessee, but because it's cooler. It's Florida. And I'm not being mean towards Holden.
But that's like you're saying he's always, no matter what, he's got to pay that cool tax. So I just disagree with that.
No matter what, I'm sorry.
He's got to pay that cool tax, like for being cool.
But that's his choice. That's his choice.
Right. But he's 18 years old. He don't know what he's talking about right now.
He's 20 years old. He's 20 years old. Why is it that we have different expectations for children now than we did years ago? Years ago, college didn't cost this much.
Right.
We have let it get crazy.
And all we did was backstrap people with student loans. Right. And guess what happened because of that? Inflation's went up over the last 20 years, not just last year. Over the last 20 years, inflation has done nothing but continue to climb and climb and climb and climb.
Right.
And we've had plenty of recessions without having student debt.
We haven't had plenty
resolved.
of recessions, and we've never
Of course
had
we have.
inflation.
2008
And
was
we've never
of
had
course.
inflation like this. We're at a 40-year high. Anyway, when it comes to the differences in 20 years ago versus now, we have let colleges get out of control on what they charge, point blank.
Right, but
We
they
shouldn't do that. And another
also,
thing,
they got to pay people, to teach. There's some people trying to make a living too, right?
And another
what are you
thing,
gonna do? Cut their
we
costs?
have told people in society that they need bachelor's degrees to be able to provide a living. So everybody just flooded in, and they took random bachelor's degrees. And now we've got people who are educated and have student loan debt, and they can't get a job because they studied the most random things.
Well,
These
argument.
are choices. You could choose to be a finance guy like Jimmy Don. You could choose to be a teacher like Amy. You could choose these things, or you could choose something like mine. Mine is something I have to have experience to handle. I can't just go willy-nilly because, everybody's got it, right? You have to be specific. And those right there, nurses, teachers, things that we need, by all means, let's help them left and right. But when you're getting into the, random sociology degree or philosophy or whatever, then baby, you chose it.
I mean, that's true, but the majority of people who have bachelor's degree earn more than people who don't have, and that's just a fact. We can debate about people.
What does that have to do with student loans?
What that has to do is that we're talking about. That's why we encourage people to go to the college, just like you was just talking about, right? That's why we encourage them, because on a higher percentage, they usually make more money. That's just a fact of the matter.
Where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong on kids like Holden who refused a free college? We hand you two free years. We hand you 2 free years. I just want to point that out. The state of Tennessee. I don't know
that that's a societal problem, right? That's a more of a.
It will be this is a step. This is a step toward free college for everybody, like the Democrats have been saying.
Which I think it's a great idea.
Yes,
we just said 13 years was enough.
It's fine, but let me tell you. Let me go on.
Go ahead.
Some states already offer that, and nobody's taking it up. You want to know why?
Because it's not cool, I guess, right?
That's exactly right. Because community college is poo-pooed on. And whether you learn English at Big Sandy or English at UK, it's still English 101.
I agree.
And when you get out of community college and you have to transfer to UK, your final piece of paper is going to say UK.
I agree. My kids don't have that problem, so I don't know.
But we don't. Yeah, that's right. But we're different because
of course.
Because we grew up here, so we know that we're going to have to watch a dollar, right? We know that this stuff flies off. But I sit with parents who can't afford to pay for their kids to college, and they take out loans. And these parents are older than me. They're in their 50s. They're taking out loans to send little Sally to the cool school that she wants to go to because the parents want to keep up with the Joneses who's sending their kid to a cool school.
I'm going to go back to the same thing and we can end or whatever, but if it's better for us if we can end college debt and it's better for our economy overall, then that's what we ought to do. And from every study that's been out so far, that's what it showed. It hasn't showed recessions. It hasn't showed us causing recessions. It showed us being a richer nation because of it, not a poor nation.
Right. I think we need to definitely help them with their loan. And if we're going to wipe out any debt, then I want to wipe out veterans who are still paying on their houses.
Yeah, but
no, it is. It's an interesting conversation. And I personally, in my mind, think it's complicated because I agree a lot with what Don's saying. I agree a lot with what JD's saying, to be honest with you. And that's the mental struggle for me. The thing I'm afraid of, the thing about student loans that people have to understand, and this, Jason Blair made the comment up here just a second ago, they need to teach this stuff in high school. And he's right, because a student loan debt you can't wipe out. Right. Like, you can try to get a government-based loan, and if there was a student loan that you let go, you're going to pay it in full, or you're not going to be able to buy the house that you want to buy. I've got that situation right now. It just happened with a kid that I'm financing a home for, and he didn't know any better. He just didn't pay it, and he was like, whatever, and he ended up having to go back and pay the student loan debt to be able to buy the house he wanted. I also, where I think I disagree with JD, is on the part about the economy. I'm going to have to read some of the studies. I haven't read those studies, JD, so I'm just kind of talking from, what I think here. But I feel like the stimulus money showed that's Econ 101, dude. You stimulate, you jack with a capitalistic economy like that, prices are going to shove up. It's
Why?
just
Why?
it's just Econ
Because
101.
corporations are going to make more money because they want
It's
to.
just when you
That's it.
flood, that's right, they're going to raise the prices. Same thing's going to happen if you let go of the student loan debt. These companies are going to raise interest rates. Interest rates are going to go up. You can't afford as
Should
much
we allow
house
that to
as you
happen?
could have.
Should we allow that to happen?
I don't know. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know because that's what will happen though. Is
I
rates
agree.
move up, things
But
move
also,
up.
these
And
people will now have expendable income, though. These people who have
not
these,
really. Because now the
Yeah.
interest rate's 9%,
Right.
and it's the same thing as the student.
And now
loan
it's for
payments
all
that
of
you're
us.
paying.
So, but here's what I'm telling you, Jimmy. That guy you try to get a loan for, who has that student loan debt, could he pay for his house?
Yeah, he could pay for it
And
anyway.
so he could have anyway, right? So if he doesn't have that on his thing, then he could have bought that house. Is that a stimulation to the economy? Of course it is. When people are buying houses, of course it is.
In a sense, JD, I feel what you're saying. What I'm saying is, I feel what you're saying.
Like I feel like you don't want to agree with me, even though you do.
I don't because I just know what I've seen in real world.
I don't.
application of that.
I can go ahead. My stand is clear. There is no free nothing whatsoever. And this is going to land in my lap. And I'm trying to put 2 kids, soon to be 3 kids, through school, and then one going to the military to get his free schooling. So it is dead set no. Do I think that your interest rate should go down? Heck yes. Do I think that we need to make it go down immediately and make it easier on people? Remove those stipulations from when they go out to get mortgages or whatnot. Those things can be fixed. We don't have to swoop in. And Todd brought up a great point. So in 10 more years, are we going to do it again? Because people made bad choices, then another 10, then another 10. The reason why you're saying that is because, see, you're a socialist mindset and I'm a capitalist mindset. I don't think that we should go in and wipe everything out and give everything for free because people made their choices.
I think that we're better off as a society if I can, instead of that guy paying $20,000, if I got to pay $2 more extra and we all pitch in $2 and pay that $20,000, we're better off. Yeah, absolutely.
But what
mine-
you're saying though
mine
is
was
if
in
the
the
interest
middle.
rates 9% and now everybody's having to pay that, you just cost me about $100,000 over time on my mortgage loan because you shoved the rates up on everything.
You need to look at the studies, bro. You need to look at the studies.
JD, what do you think about the middle of the road approach, lowering the interest rates?
I think that's a good. I think that's.
I mean, we
I
can
would be on
start
board with that
there,
for sure.
right? People could start there, but we don't. We have to be so extreme, and honestly, it's
all right. Knox, I'll send you my 2. You send me your 4.
Yeah, it's just crazy how we always are trying to swoop in and do something just wild like that. Just lower their rates, remove those stipulations, and see if that moves. And then talk to your kids, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Community colleges
I think that's fair
are fantastic.
I'm not saying that's the only solution there is, but I think there's something definitely.
Well, Don's right because right now we're going through that with Ashton and Addison, right? Talking to them because Ashton just got that Rogers Scholar. Well, if you go to UK, it pays for part of your school. If you go to some schools in Kentucky, it's a free ride.
Oh, wow.
So, and so we're having that conversation now, even though she's got the dreams of Vandy, we're going to look at that too. But at the end of the day, it's got to come down to economically
that makes sense, right?
what makes the most sense.
Right.
And, and that's and Ashton is on board with that. She's a sensible kid. And so, but we're going to look at all options. We'll look at Vandy. We'll look at all the others too. So it's a chance to get educated for free.
Right.
And not have that student loan debt, as JD's saying. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. There's just
been, like I said, but it's like this people graduate college in 1995 thinking the prices are the same as they are in 2022. It's just not.
But we conceded to that too. We conceded to that too. We can work on that too. We don't have to just go in and swoop everything because all 3 of us on here, you've got Jimmy Don, who has an opportunity for one of his kids to go free somewhere in the state. You've got JD, who I saw son made the dean's list at a great community college. You've got me, who's got split. I've got 2 split. I've got one in Florida, who is now taking out his first student loan. We begged him to come home this fall. He's choosing to stay down there because he wants to play soccer. Soccer is costing him money. It's his choice. He's almost 21. And then you've got another one sitting at the house. Then she's able to travel and do her nursing online, and it's a hybrid mix, and she's doing it perfectly for free as at a community college. There are choices. If your kid chose If your kid chose to go to the University of Alabama because he's an Alabama football fan and he had to be there and it cost you money, that's your problem. That's not mine.
It's a great discussion, and I've enjoyed it immensely. Like I really love listening to you guys go back and forth on the two sides of it, because I really don't. Like I said, I have one side.
The thing is, if it ends up benefiting everybody to cancel it, then we should cancel it. Period. I mean, it's just period. If everybody,
and you can also go to Alice Floyd. Todd just put up Bria's free. Alice Floyd's
Bria.
free.
If you go to Bria and get a job, man.
And honestly, if Democrats are so passionate about it, send money and pay people's loans off and leave us out of it. I mean, hell, fire. You got money, send it to them. Why does everything have to be on everybody?
Because we're already paying the same amount of taxes as you are. That's why.
Yeah. No, I guarantee. Let me tell you, I'm taking it. I'm taking it. And
we're all taking it. That's why.
And the inflation. That's exactly right. That's why it's a poor time to talk about this, because everybody is taking it right now. And you've got farmers.
We've always been taking it.
You've got farmers who we have to have, and they're taking out loans for tractors. Why doesn't anybody wipe them out?
Hey, Don, does your opinion change at all? Like you said that the time right now, and I agree with you 100%. Right now is not the time to be discussing this. It's totally a political issue for the elections that are coming up. That's why they're bringing it up. But would your opinion about this change if we were in a normal economy where inflation wasn't up and things were down? Does that change your opinion at all?
It depends on what they studied and where they studied. See, that's the thing. What I hear that you guys are wanting me to pay for somebody who went to Vanderbilt to study philosophy. That's what I hear. If you were telling me that I'm going to pay for somebody who went to Vanderbilt and he is now a transplant surgeon or a teacher or a nurse or a professor or an engineer, anything that is really pumping stuff back in, by all means, let's work on that.
What's the philosophy major's making $100,000 a year, though? Do you change your mind then?
I'm sorry?
If the philosophy major's now making
philosophy's doing nothing for me. You don't need as many of them.
You don't need as many.
No. That's what I said. I'm case by case. I don't need a ton of those, but I need all different types of engineers to make sure that we've got houses and buildings and coal and energy. And I need teachers to teach my kids. I need you guys. I need utilities and infrastructure. Those guys, yes, it changes. But no, if you want me to pay for your kid's sociology degree.
So even if those kids are now going to successful careers and paying a bunch of taxes, it don't matter to Dawn.
That's exactly right. Because now you can pay your bills just like we did.
Well, those guys, if they're so important, they can too.
Let's
go home. That's interesting.
So
interesting discussion. I've enjoyed that. Great show, guys. Thank you all so much for coming and hanging out with us this Sunday evening. Really, really appreciate it. Of course, stay tuned on the Facebook and all our social media. Don and JD do a great job posting over there. It's become really interesting. I actually do get on Facebook now and occasionally read some of them. So I generally try to stay off Facebook. But they do a good job over there posting. And Don's a social butterfly. Her and Todd out going around taking pictures and never calls me and JD. So we'll leave that there. But no, anyway, guys, thank you all so much for joining us. You can find us on the podcast.
Love you, Don.
iTunes,
love you, babies.
Everywhere we have podcasts, you can find us, the Just Add Bourbon podcast. And as we always end this thing, from myself, from JD, and from Don, no matter how bad your week's been, no matter how bad your day's going, if you just add bourbon, it always gets a little bit better. We'll see you guys next Sunday.
Bye.